Electroids, welcome back to the channel. So today is going to be a little bit different. Hi, I'm Gavin. If you know my channel, you know that I usually play The Sims 4, Sims 3, 2, and most recently indie games, and I've just downloaded Worldbox. So a lot of people have been talking about The Sims 4 and how it has gone down in quality, price, well, gone up in price, and really just hasn't changed anything in its own franchise. But there's two new competitors that EA might possibly get a little nervous over. Starting out with Inzoi. When Inzoi released, I freshly remember this. It came out with 1.1 million copies in its first week. Correct me if you have permission to correct me if I'm wrong on this. However, when it came out, there was a bit of a controversy with Inzoi, the use of AI, and the lack of LGBTQ plus representation. In fact, it still has lack of it. I played the game and you can definitely see it. I found that the romance feature to two married Sims who are the same gender were missing from the gender of those that were heterosexual. But that's a controversy for another day. The Sims is well known for being a dynamic life simulation game that has gone back since all the way back into the very late 90s, all the way until 2000s. And each Sims game has gotten something bigger and better than the previous. Sims 1 was the founder, Sims 2 expanded upon what was already there, and Sims 3 added an open world and creative style tools that made Simmers all around the world excited to actually play the game. What did Sims 4 bring? Well, it did kind of bring a new ish build mode, a better creative sim, and on top of that, sorry for adjusting my stuff, it also brought a what I like to call more expenses for less content. Despite being objectively one of the worst games out of the four iterations, The Sims 4 is one of the most profitable from their franchise, outselling The Sims 2 and The Sims 3 base game features when they first launched, which is crazy. And that's just cats and dogs. The Sims ha- The Sims has been going on for over 25 years. Most of those years being with The Sims 4. However, now, The Sims 4 is no longer the only life simulation game. Life simulation has been around for a long time. In fact, I would say Sims is kind of the, I don't know, the founder of the whole thing. It introduced a new style of gaming where you didn't just blow something up or change it. But with The Sims 4, you can definitely see that there is a downturn in their legacy. Packs are more expensive, kits have been released, and there's even talk about doing a subscription-based type of content that you see in Fortnite or other games. Why is this a problem? Well, The Sims 4, as well as all of its other iterations, are pretty much a single-player game. They've tried an online feature before, and it flopped so hard they had to create The Sims 4 in order to make up the costs. But I'm going to be moving on right into my next point of why I'm making this video. Competition. The monopoly. Sims 4 has its monopoly, and it's been going on for a couple of decades at this point, over 2 decades. But with the creation of Insoi, it was the first time that EA actually found something that was going to potentially, or at least at the time, slow down their progress and have their cash cow dry out. Unfortunately, luckily, they were easily able to skirt over this once they point out the fact that Sims 4 has an LGBTQ plus feature and actually more features than Inzoi. However, that may not be true for very longer. In a few months, Paralives is going to release, and I actually looked this up. I'm not going to be providing the sources, and you don't have to take my word for it. I actually looked this up, and Paralives, despite not being released and receiving a delay, has a million wish list likes or whatever is called on Steam. That is a huge amount and is very indicative of a very, possibly very great legacy that's going to be happening. Why is this a problem, or actually the solution to EA's problem? Well, it's simple. I predict that when this comes out, EA is going to be scrambling because many of their own players of their game, including even some of their own YouTubers such as Lil Simsy, Fake Gamer Girl, Whiny Brit, and of course Deligracy, are most potentially going to be going over to Paralives as more and more happen. I myself have started to try and slow down my own content with The Sims 4, especially realizing of how greedy, and on top of this, the EA buyout didn't do very well. Paralives seems to have a lot of detail into the game of itself. From the build features to creating the para, that's what I'm going to call them, to even live gameplay features that we have seen. They're actively creating and building a community before the game has even released, which is amazing for their game. And EA, I predict, is going to be scrambling to figure out how to either sabotage this or try and sweep it under the rug so that nobody goes and buys that game. Well, I can predict this because they've done it before. They did it with The Sims 1, The Sims 2, and if they could get away with it, The Sims 3, but it wasn't old enough to do so. EA knows for a fact that The Sims 2, 1, and even 3 are better than the previous games. However, they don't put any attention or promotion to it. Why? Well, it's simple. They know that if they start promoting it, less people are going to be going to The Sims 4, and they've spent a lot of money on it. And if you want to know how expensive it is, just to get the entire pack is over $1,500, and I would not be surprised if it was actually $3,000. But with Paralives, at least based on what I know, it seems as if the DLC is going to be free, and it's only going to be a one-time purchase. Meaning that any DLC that they are going to add into the game is going to be free for them to purchase. This is the complete opposite of what EA does. EA locks many features that could actually expand and make the packs actually worthwhile, and hide it behind it because they know it's going to sell. And as of right now, they're the only live simulation game that actually has a pack that actually has substance for people to use and actually play on the PC. When Inzoi came out, it was in its base game features. It had a huge controversy with AI, and it lacked LGBTQ plus representation. Sims 4 took on this and decided to rub salt into the wound by making those hideous LGBTQ plus flag dresses. Except for the pastel one on the base game wedding dress. That one was really nice. I liked that. Anyways, I can definitely tell that Paralives is definitely going to be EA's biggest competitor. And it might actually push EA to try and do better, if to just try and keep their fan base. I wanted to keep this video pretty short because I didn't really know what to post, but in my opinion, I feel like Paralives is going to be maybe not the downfall of The Sims, but I can most definitely predict that it is going to potentially cause EA to actually put in at least some effort if they want to keep their fan base. Now, don't get me wrong, I imagine that they are most definitely going to be in denial of this, especially as more and more people get the actual game and start actually having fun with it and playing with it. And I can imagine a lot of this, especially because Inzoi is very realistic looking. Many of the Sims players are used to the cartoony anime vibes version of The Sims 1, 2, 3, and 4. Heck, even Sims Medieval. You could argue that The Sims 3 had the most realistic looking stuff, but even then, it is still very animated and still very cartoony in comparison to Inzoi, which I can understand why many Sims players didn't actually immediately gravitate towards. But with Paralives delaying their content in order to focus more on the live features, I am curious to see where that's going to leave The Sims 4. Anyways, guys, this is just a basic synopsis of what I think is going to happen. If you guys liked today's video, don't forget to hit that like button and that subscribe button. Don't forget to comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, Electroids.